What is going on, everybody? Hope everybody is doing well tonight. Already got some comments coming in. Eric says he watched Yellowvilles. They look like people, which is on my very short list to watch soon. I've been dying to see that one. And Mondo Macabro, Strangler versus Strangler. Both very good. That's good to hear. Mike is here. It is showtime. How we doing? Stardust says, today I watched Blindside. Is that the Sandra Bullock film? And Take Me Somewhere Nice, Bosnian Mumblecore. Interesting. And Born to Win with Elliot Gould. Sounds like some partner label titles there at the end. Loving that. Maximus is here. What's going on? Jeff, hey. All that is man, multiple times in a month that you are here to grace us with your presence. I'm so glad to see you. Dave, what's going on, my friend? So tonight we have I thought it was going to be a very light week, and suddenly we had an explosion of announcements on Monday. And I am going to be having a friend of mine, Mr. Master Chaos, joining us to go over all of the announcements. He is having some technical issues, but he'll be on in just a second. And he will be giving his very, very technical opinion on all these. And he just emailed me again. Sorry about that. All right. Let's see. Mike says, I watched a video on Horizon Universal models. Interesting. Anthony, hey. Sulaco88, what's going on? Glad you're here with us. So, yeah, like I said, lots of announcements. And to join in the fun, we've got Mr. Master Chaos.
Hey, what's up? Sorry I'm late.
You're good.
Technical issues, man. Sorry.
It's happening. I mean, it's inevitable in this stuff.
Oh, yeah, tell me about it. Also, apologies to you and anyone watching. I'm getting over a cold, so I might cough and my voice might be a little rough, so I apologize for that.
I've had rough year as far as coughing goes. I think it was end of January. My wife and I both caught COVID finally.
Oh, God.
I had a rough, like really sore throat for like a week, but then I couldn't stop coughing for like 4 weeks.
Oh,
and
man.
When you do a live show twice a week, that's not fun.
No.
So yeah,
I'll say. I mean, luckily, we have not caught COVID yet. I've tested twice, and so far so good. But I'm in the middle of pre-production on a movie, and it's kind of hard having meetings and then having to tell everybody, guys, it's not COVID. Hang in there, and I promise I won't cough on you. And no, I'm not going to be getting that film. Although if anyone picks it up, I hope you enjoy it.
Culture Shock releasing has I would say not quite as divisive as something like a Saturn's Core, but they put out some stuff that a lot of people will very happily call schlock, and a lot of it is fun, but a lot of it you really got to put away any sort of critical eye, and I understand that.
Mm-hmm. I loved Girlfriend from Hell. I think that's a great release. That's a really fun movie. So I would recommend that one if you guys are looking for something from Culture Shock for sure. But there's a lot dropped this week, dude. I honestly wasn't paying attention to you. He said, "Hey, you want to jump on?" And I just like briefly looked through. I'm like, "Oh my God." Wow, busy week.
It has been a very busy week, and honestly, it looked really light until Monday, and then of course we got 88 films, and then a handful of other stuff just decided to jump on board and bury everything. It is crazy how much we got in that one day.
Yeah, I'm sure you have it all queued up for us to discuss.
All ready to go. How's the movie going?
Oh, good. It's actually, you know what? First, you get an exclusive. I can announce my first 2 cast members.
Nice.
On here, because they're signed on and they're official. I'm gonna be making a film with. I already made a film with him, but Sean Whalen is gonna be in the film.
Yeah.
Also known as Roach from People Under the Stairs. He's amazing. The Stairs, yeah. And then our big name is the incomparable Michael Pare, who will be playing the devil in our film. So,
wow.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm actually gonna have. It feels so Hollywood to say this, but I'm gonna have coffee with Michael Pare on Saturday, and we're gonna discuss the film So yeah, I'm excited to do that. I'm a little nervous. I'm always nervous when I meet a celebrity.
Right.
When it's like a working environment, because you never know, every actor approaches things differently.
Of course.
It's kind of nerve wracking from the director's perspective to see, like, well, how does this guy want to be directed? Does he want to be left alone? Does he want his hand held the whole time? So, but that's part of the fun of making movies. But yes, so far so good. It really, really, really ramps up next week, and then so I'll probably be taking a big break from covering anything until maybe the halfway sale. So yeah,
there's a lot of you into that, so I understand the nerves of going into that meeting. Makes sense. Other than that, how's everything been lately? How's the family?
Good. Family's good. Unfortunately, now that masks have dropped at school, the kids bring colds with them, so that's why we're all sick. But everyone's good. Everyone's happy. We had a big slew of birthdays. April's a big month. My wife, my daughter, and myself. So I'm the last one, and now we can kind of just relax into the summertime. But yeah, things are good. How about you, man? How's everything with you and your kids?
Well, that was also on my note. I was going to say happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Everything has been decent here. I got my oldest in flag football, and I feel really bad because I am a giant person, and my oldest is going to be just like me. He is not even 7.5 yet, and he's already like 4'9", 4'10".
Oh wow!
And we got him in flag football, and then of course, as per always, not enough people signed up for his league, so they had to combine a couple teams, and he's literally playing with 4-year-olds.
Oh wow!
So he is like literally almost twice the size, and a lot of people say that exaggerating, but he's literally almost twice the size of some of these kids.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it makes me worried.
Wow. Well, that's good. I think sports. My daughter did soccer for a bit, but it wasn't something that stuck. She's definitely more of an artsy person, but I think sports is healthy, especially after getting out of COVID and lockdown and stuff. That's a good way to make friends and to kind of get used to groups again. I think that's
get the body warmed up.
Yes, absolutely.
My friend Eric, who is a member of my Patreon, says I got to the Legend of La Llorona on opening night back in January at a theater in Frankfort, Illinois.
Hey, thank you, Eric. That's cool. I'm that's a very rare occasion, so I appreciate that.
That's awesome. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
The first ones we got last week were Imprint, and Imprint has sort of been on your radar lately, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one's kind of cool. We got a Jim Sheridan box set with 4 films in here, which are not small names either. I mean, My Left Foot, The Boxer, we got The Field, and then In the Name of the Father. There's a lot of Daniel Day-Lewis for sure.
Yeah, I like Imprint quite a bit. Their box sets are really beautiful. I really love collaborations quite a bit, and these are all solid ass movies. So mean, absolutely. A must. And these, it almost feels like Criterion should have done this,
Right. I'm curious if there's something up with the rights in the U.S. here, because these seem like really obvious releases.
Yeah.
But Imprint, I think them and Indicator are continuously like the most consistent level brands lately for me, in terms of the films and the extras and the quality that they put into it. Imprint might slightly be below Indicator because some of their transfers are ones that the studio handed to them, and they're not the best, but they do get a lot of good new extras and decent films that really a lot of times have never been on Blu-ray at all. So it's nice to see those first-time releases.
Yep.
Next up from them, The Music of Chance with M. Emmett Walsh and Chris Penn. And this is from 1993. And let's see. I forgot Mandy Patinkin's in this too, and James Spader. This they don't have special features for this, which is odd. They normally do. So that probably means we're getting something new at least. Yeah,
I'm not familiar with this one.
I don't think I've seen this one either, but I like me some Mandy Patinkin and James Spader.
Yeah, good cast.
The Beast. This one is from 1988. I think I've seen this one before.
I've seen the cover. I mean, at least the one on the case looks familiar to me.
It's one of those covers that was pretty much everywhere for a while, I think. This one, again, they don't have special features ready, but this one is a Soviet tank unit led by Commander Daskal destroys a village in Afghanistan in 1981. Taj, a member of the village, vows revenge and pursues him along with the Mujahideen. And this is supposed to be incredible. I don't remember all the details of it. This, I believe, has a little bit of controversy associated with it, but it's probably just for when it came out. I mean, it was right after the Cold War and all that. So,
yeah, I mean, Kevin Reynolds, really good filmmaker. I would very interested in seeing this one. This looks really cool.
Yeah, and overall, I think this is a pretty solid damn month from them. Speaking of that, one of the classics, Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead with Andy Garcia. This seems to be a very divisive film. You remember this one? Have you seen it?
I've seen it years and years ago. I don't remember too much about it, but what was the divisive element to this one?
Well, it seems that Andy Garcia is very hit or miss for people, and I think him leading a film when usually he's like an antagonist, less so like the main person in a film. And this one, he has so much screen time that if you hate him, you're just going to hate this film.
Okay.
But a lot of new extras on this too. New interview with the director, new interview with the writer, and new interview with designer Nelson Coates. And it says even more features to be announced, which either they're behind or something for this month. But also in this one, we got Christopher Walken, Treat Williams, Christopher Lloyd, and Steve Buscemi.
Great.
Yeah, this is a fun movie.
That's great. And now most of these are region free, right?
Most, yes. I think they've done, oh gosh, it's probably less than 10 overall in their line have been region B locked. But I mean, we've got to be at like number 120 or something like that from Imprint already. So like 10 out of 120, that's a pretty damn good ratio.
Absolutely.
And most of the big titles have been region free, which is pretty more important there.
Yeah.
So I think this is the last one from Imprint. Nobody's Fool with Paul Newman from 1995. This got Paul Newman an Oscar nom and Best Actor honors from the National Society of Film Critics and New York Film Critics Circle. This is directed by Robert Benton and also has Philip Seymour Hoffman, Jessica Tandy, Melanie Griffith, a whole bunch of names. And again, special features coming later. I've never been a big Paul Newman fan. You like this one? Have you seen it?
I like Newman. I like his I like his popcorn, but I think I missed out on Nobody's Fool. I think when it came out, it just wasn't one of those things like jumped out at me. But it might be a decent film, but I'm not familiar with it.
Well, it's 95 too. A lot of Newman stuff was before that when everybody really was in love with him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Flickering Wave says that Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead got lumped into a lot of the Tarantino knockoffs.
Gotcha.
What's going on, Dustin? And then what else there is one more. That's right. I totally forgot this was this month. And this is a big title too. Horror is coming. Ken Russell's Horror. This is, oh Jesus. I just saw the number on this. This is number 146.
Oh wow.
They have put out so many titles.
Wow.
I mean, I think they started in May of 2019 or 2020, and they're already at almost 150.
Wow, impressive.
That is ridiculous. And even at the beginning, they even missed a couple months. So, but now they're releasing like 7 or 8 spines a month.
Mm-hmm.
Horror
this is a good movie. I like this one.
This one's real good, and this is one that has been making like the bootleg circles for a few years because it had never gotten a Blu-ray release.
Mm-hmm.
So this is betrayed by her husband. Liz, played by Teresa Russell, is trapped by poverty and struggling to support her baby. After taking cash to go on a date, she begins her life on the street, but falls victim to a brutal assault. After becoming increasingly dependent on a pimp, she realizes she must find a way out, but her pimp has other ideas. Horror is the confronting story of a jaded LA prostitute told through flashbacks of her past brutal marriage, inhumane abuse, and her time on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And again, loaded with new special features, but the couple that really stick out here. So new commentary by Alexandra Heller-Nicholas, who has been doing commentaries like 1 or 5 a week, it seemed like, with what we're getting announced.
Yeah.
New interview with actress Teresa Russell, new interview with Ginger Lynn, new interview with Deborah Dalton, an appreciation of Ken Russell, and horror from X-rated auteur Bruce LaBruce. Okay. New video essay author and critic Kat Ellinger. This is freaking loaded with a who's who of everybody that is great for stuff like this.
Yeah. It's good. I remember that. I remember renting this at the video store. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna rent a movie called Horror. This is awesome. I mean, it's more of a serious movie than you would imagine, but it's very well made.
Yep, and it's Ken Russell, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
All righty. So then we got more details on Terror Out of the Sky coming from Kino. This is coming on July 5th, and it has a new audio commentary by David Del Valle and filmmaker David Decoteau. And that's it. It's got a new 2K master, but don't expect a whole lot else on this release. How do you feel about the Animal Attacks films? I don't think I've heard you talk much about those, other than Grizzly.
Oh, I like Animal Attack movies. I'm a big I hate insects, so I certainly enjoy killer insect movies. I'm sure I've seen this. I'm not familiar with it in terms of like, I remember exactly what happens in it, but
right.
Yeah, I love. I love a good crazy insect animal type movie. My favorite thing, I like giant animals. If I want, anything, alligators. I mean, Jaws is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Same.
So yeah, it's even creepier if it's something that is so innocuous, like a little bee or a spider. I mean, these things can kill you.
Yep.
In real life, and they're all over the place. So absolutely, I'm excited to revisit Terror Out of the Sky, because I'm sure I've seen it, but I can't recall it.
Kino is doing really good stuff with those. I think they have 3 coming around that month, and I can't wait.
It's like Ants too, I think.
It was, let's see, Ants, and that cover on that Ants film alone, as soon as they showed that slip,
yes.
It looks, I started itching immediately.
Yeah.
They got Ants, Bees, and then I think there's one more too, but I don't remember. Next one, we got the details finally on Second Sight's 4K of Dog Soldier. So this got announced, I think it was last year, and then we got the full details last Friday, which coincidentally, this was right after Scream Factory announced that they were delaying their 4K of Dog Soldiers until the end of July, which means most likely they're using the exact same master as Second Sight, and they were waiting on some authoring for that. So I assume that if you're just looking for the film, they are probably going to be identical. If anything, there might be slightly different compression, but if anything, Second Sight's been better on compression. So it seems like this is the one to get. What do you think of Dog Soldiers? We were just talking about Animal Attacks films.
Oh, I love Dog Soldiers. I love it. I think it's one of the most interesting werewolf movies, probably the last good one ever made. And honestly, I mean, this is beautiful, but I don't think I need all the bells and whistles on it.
Right.
But I mean, if you're a fan of the movie, this is definitely the addition to get.
Yeah, either way, and 4K should look really good on this, especially because we never really had a decent Blu-ray. They all kind of looked like shit. So this is going to be most likely a massive step up. And again, bells and whistles galore on this, like he was saying. We got Dolby Vision HDR on a 4K disc, archival audio commentary by the director, with Sam McCurdy and the producer and actors and everybody involved. New audio commentary by writer and associate professor of film Allison Pierce, which I've not heard of her being on one before, I don't think. And then a new 40-minute interview with Neil Marshall, a history of lycanthropy, author Gavin Badley on werewolf cinema, and then a video essay by author Michael J. Coven. And a lot of these, I believe, were on some of the previous releases. So really, you're getting a new commentary and a new interview, and that might be all that's brand new to this. But then, Second Sight always coming in, 108-page book. 108-page book on Dog Soldiers, and that's going to include new essays by a whole lot of people involved, and then other writers, behind-the-scenes photos with 6 collector's art cards. That's so much.
Here's a question for you. Now, I know you're a big collector. I know you like to be complete and things. Honestly, in the past year, I've just realized I don't need the book. I don't need the posters and the art cards and things. They're nice, but I don't put them on my wall. They just kind of sit on my shelf. And when I read the book, the next day I forgot everything I've just read. I'm like, wait, what happened? Who directed that? Right. So I'm curious. Are you still into like all the super thick packaging, or are you kind of like, maybe I'll just wait for a standard down the line?
I personally, My answer is not going to be easy here. I love everything that comes with it. I hate the size of the space that it takes up. If they could somehow slim that down to half the size, I'd be a hell of a lot happier. If it could be literally the size of a Blu-ray, I would be stoked.
Right.
The only difference is I genuinely use my posters and I read pretty much every single book when I watch the film. I try to swap out posters a few times a year, so I get to most of them eventually. But the books, I literally read every single one right after I've watched the movie. The art cards I could probably do without. I've only used I probably have 1,000 here. I've probably only used like 12. I've got a handful that I definitely want to put it in a frame with some of these, like to go when I get something autographed. It's really nice to put alongside an autograph. But other than that, yeah, it just takes up space. But I mean, if I have the book and the movie, that's the thickest parts of the release. So taking out the art cards doesn't do anything for me. But I genuinely read every single book, and I try to dive in even further when it calls for it. Like my big example this year is that movie Detention, and I think you put out a review for that one too.
Yeah,
maybe not. Yeah, so it was really good, and I read the book, and it was enough to make me understand the film more. But then it inspired me to actually go out and research the White Scare even more and find out like why, because obviously we're in the US and we pretend the rest of the world doesn't exist in our educational system. So I never heard of it, so I wanted to go in and find out like more context of what led to it. And
I saw a video on that, and I thought that was an interesting way to put it, that like the movie inspired you to really dig deeper. I think that's cool. I mean, I think that's the power that movies have, is that it really just shows us the world that we've never seen. And I really love that.
It's true, and very sad. After that, we got another 4K announcement. This one is coming from BFI in the form of Get Carter, starring Michael Caine. What do you think of Get Carter? Have you seen it?
I have. It's you know, I love Michael Caine in everything. I think this is a really solid movie. Again, it's been maybe a decade since I've watched it. But I love it. But I see all that stuff, and I'm like, I don't need all that stuff, you know. But I do love this film. I think it's great.
Well, and speaking of that, I forgot I was going to mention it after we talked about reading, but Second Sight, they have actually put out a statement. I don't know if you saw this, but they noticed that some people were either not purposefully not buying their limited releases, or they were like lamenting when they announced things because they couldn't watch the movie for months until the standard got released. So now they are making like a mission to release the standard alongside their limited edition releases.
Wow.
And so you can order that right now on their site. You can order it from Diabolic, that 4K of Dog Soldiers. It's just a slimline case with all of their extras. You lose nothing except for the book and the art cards and all that.
Oh, okay. That's great. That's great.
And I really wish more companies did that, because honestly, unless something is strictly limited, why are we waiting? Genuinely, why are we waiting until months after a limited edition sells out?
I mean, I think it's just because they want you to buy the more
expensive
one, you know. But no, that's great. That's really fantastic. I hope more companies pick up on that.
I completely agree. So yeah, Get Carter, for those that haven't seen it, it's great. And if you really want everything, this looks like a ridiculously great release. Lots of extras on here, all kinds of stuff from 2022. So it's going to have a lot. And then, of course, there's an 80-page book, which, again, I'm astonished that some of these movies are getting literally like novel-sized analysis. And obviously, there's a lot of art and pictures and stuff like that. But a lot of it usually is essays.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Umbrella, they announced a couple titles this week, and we are getting The Abominable Dr. Phibes and Dr. Phibes Rises Again. This also, it just came out from Kino, so this is just a preference thing. This is not a part of one of their Umbrella's like 7 signature lines that they're running right now. So if you want it, it's just another option that's out there. But, and I have to do that at least once a week, I guess. They also are putting out Miami Connection as a collector's bundle. Now, by now, this shirt is probably long sold out because this got announced on like Saturday or something. And it's only limited to 100 orders. But It looks like a solid release, and a lot of people may actually want this over the Vinegar Syndrome release because this has the CD soundtrack, which arguably kind of the best part of the entire movie. And then the other thing, this has an introduction by Grandmaster YK Kim with a new Riff Tracks commentary with Mystery Science Theater 3000 comedians Mike Nelson, Kevin Murphy, and Bill Corbett, which for a lot of people that just get this to laugh at it, that's kind of maybe the reason they want it. And that won't be on the Vinegar Syndrome release.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. This is the version I would have picked up. I mean, I already have the Blu-ray of this.
Right.
I got to see it, luckily in theaters, years ago when it was officially released and stuff. So I got to experience that, and it's a great film, really fun. But yeah, 4K. I don't know that it necessarily needs it, but this is amazing. I mean, the riff tracks. I think I've seen the riff tracks on it already. It's pretty funny, but to have it. And to have the soundtrack, I mean, this is pretty dang sweet. I feel this is probably more in keeping with what should have happened with it. But we're getting it anyway as subscribers, so
yep.
Might as well just enjoy that version.
And the other big thing, and remember, if you're getting the Vinegar Syndrome one, it's not necessarily bad or anything like that. And then on top of that, you are getting the some other cut that nobody's ever seen it.
Oh, right.
So that's going to be very different. Then on Sunday, Kino announced 7 films from some guy named Francois Truffaut. So obviously Francois Truffaut is this massive auteur, and I believe after this, I think all of his films will be on Blu-ray.
Wow.
And I am astonished that Kino was able to do this. First off, they have not announced if this is going to be a sort of box set or if they're going to be sold individually, which is an interesting idea for his stuff. And these are all ranging from 1968, and then the latest one is 1978. I mean, some of these people that were just so talented, like how does he knock out 7 films in 10 years? And actually, there might even be more in here that I didn't know, but yeah.
That's amazing. I'm a big fan. I have everything that Criterion ever put out from him. I love him. I love his dialogue. I love the way he treats actors. I'm a huge admirer, and I didn't know about this. Now I'm very excited about this. I think a box set makes perfect sense, and I really hope it is that, because then I won't have to buy them all individually.
Right, and that's what worries me, is because it's Kino. And I think that they might put them out individually, because a box set for this would probably be, say $40. But I think that they might be able to get people to buy all 7 at $15.
Yeah, in which case I'll wait for a sale. But I mean, I usually do anyway. But it's definitely now that. Thank you for putting that on my radar. I had no idea that was coming out. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's a big one. And then the 7 films are The Bride Wore Black, Mississippi Mermaid, The Wild Child, The Story of Adele H, Small Change, The Man Who Loved Women, interesting title there, and The Green Room.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Lots coming there. And then we also got Kino putting out a new 2K master of Programmed to Kill from 1987. I know nothing about this one. It's directed by Alan Holzman, who also did Forbidden World. Have you seen this one?
It might be one of those things, you rented back in the day and you just completely forgot the minute you returned it. I mean, I thought this was a VSA announcement somehow, like, oh, this is wait, what? I don't know. I honestly, I have no interest in revisiting movies of this era unless they have a connection to me, or unless I somehow, try before I buy. If it's on YouTube, I'll check it out, or if it's someone streaming on Tubi, I definitely will. I'll seek it out before buying it, or definitely look at reviews. But I'm not going to be jumping on this immediately. No.
Well, and that just reminded me of something that we were talking about on my Discord this week. Keep in mind, Kino does have Kino Cult, the streaming service. Oh, yeah. This could be up there. Not sure if it is. I'm not, saying that to everybody, but from what I hear, it is either free or extremely cheap and supposed to be very good. I don't remember. I know I used either a free trial or tried it for like the first week, and it was decent, but it was also the first week, so it was a little bit lacking. But it's been out for 6 months, 7 months now.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Then that's definitely something to look into.
For sure. And this is the type of movie it's probably streaming on somewhere like Tubi right now.
Right.
That or Amazon Prime, something like that.
Looks like John in the chat says it's free, so that's even better.
There you go. Kino Cult is free. Loving that. Cult Epics, which has not announced something in quite some time. They're putting out Sylvia Kristel and Naked Over the Fence from 1973. Let's see. This is Rick Lemming is the operator and owner of a successful Amsterdam arcade. Along with his tenant Penny, Rick's life takes a turn when their friend Ed, a karate instructor, is hired to act in an art film with his girlfriend, the glamorous singer Lily. Lily and Ed find themselves unsuspectingly immersed in the illicit world of pornography, resulting in death threats and murder. Frans Wise's sexy comedy thriller turned cult classic Naked Over the Fence was the first major Dutch starring role of Sylvia Kristel right before she appeared in Emmanuel. Cult Epics presents on Blu-ray the newly restored high-def 4K transfer with a lot of bonus features and limited to 1,000 copies that include the bonus CD soundtrack. This has an audio commentary by biographer Harry Hosman, behind the scenes of the film, interview with the director, interview with the composer, and promotional gallery, stuff like that. Decent release, and Cult Epics does really great work. Anything from Cult Epics that you're into?
I don't think I have anything from them so far. And Naked Over the Fence, I love the title, but it might be something I'd love to just watch. I don't know that I need to own it, but
right.
That's interesting. I hope whoever picks it up enjoys it. Are you a soundtracks guy? Because like whenever they add that, I honestly I don't even have a CD player. Like I would just play it on my Blu-ray player, so I don't really have, like my computer doesn't even have a drive. So
right.
it doesn't really do anything for me in terms of moving copies. How about yourself?
Lately, I have not. I had been for a while, but now that I remote work a lot, I don't have time to listen in the car, which I tried to do at least one a week when I was doing that. Nowadays, my hope eventually is to rip everything and put it on like a network attached storage drive. One of my early pandemic projects, I guess, was to whole home audio and whole home Ethernet my entire house. So I've got a server rack down in my sub basement, and I've got everything so I can have hardwire in every room and all that. But one of the things I want to do is get everything on those network storages so that any computer can access what's attached to that downstairs.
Oh, nice.
So
nice.
Yeah. And that's the hardest part is working from home and never driving. I don't have time to listen to a lot of stuff like that anymore. I'm trying to watch films or, working on YouTube or playing with my kids.
Right.
Such is life.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like I used to do a ton of podcasts, but now, now that I'm finally getting back into doing stuff and getting out of the house, I could be in the car more often. But yeah, I used to do, adjust the discs and all this stuff. So it's hard to do podcasts when you're just sitting at home.
Yep. I've got a massive backlog and a whole lot of the podcasts I used to listen to, and I keep telling myself I'm going to listen to it someday.
There you
go. Wild Eye and Unearthed Films is having a sale over at mvdsale.com. This is through May 2nd on noon. May 2nd at noon. They say Blu-rays and DVDs starting at just $1.99, but to be fair they have one title at $1.99, and it is this goddamn American Mummy Blu-ray from Wild Eye that they've been trying to sell for pennies for years at this point.
Wow.
So Wild Eye, how do you feel about Wild Eye?
I've only seen a couple things that I liked. Actually, Velocipaster is really fun. I think that's I do recommend that. I think it was free on Amazon Prime. That's how I watched it. I really enjoyed that one. Oh, hey, Jammin, what's up, man? Thank you, buddy. But Wild Eye, it's basically the Saturn's Core, the modern day Saturn's Core.
Yeah. And the big thing for me, most of the time they're not great movies, but they are giving a platform for a lot of indie artists, and that is super important. And not that most of them will ever lead to like the next Alexander Aja or anything like that, but they are, a voice in the current market, and I'm glad they're able to produce and have a physical output.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the reality of filmmaking nowadays. It's if you can get distribution, you are in the 1% of filmmakers out there, because there's all the movies you see, however bad you think they are, there's thousands that will never if they'll play in festivals or whatever, but they'll never get released. No one will ever see them.
Yep.
And it's sad. There's a lot of people who give up every day, and it's almost it's heartbreaking. But definitely, if you can get distribution, then that's definitely a pat on the back from me, because it's very, very hard.
But the other side of this sale is Unearthed Films. And yeah, just like John says, this is a great time to buy a Serbian film or Untold Story. Genuinely, Unearthed has a lot of really good movies. Untold Story is great. Evil Dead Trap is really good.
I like that.
If you're into the more indie schlocky stuff, the Ryan Nicholson films might be up your alley. I don't love most of them. But either way, they have a long they have a reputation. Unearthed Films, obviously, a lot of people love their stuff, and I'm happily one of them. And actually, this is a good question. John asked, I see a Serbian film there. Either of you guys ever gone down that road? Have you seen it?
I've not, because I've heard what happens in it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to experience that film. So I've decided to not watch it.
I have, and this is one of those films that I think the reputation alone scares people away, and that is like the only power of it for me. I think that when you watch it, you will already have hyped it up in your head way more than it needs to be. It is certainly like over the top offensive, and it is very it can be sort of seen as schlocky, but they genuinely set out to make a film and do it in a way that had a message, and they pulled it off.
Very good.
I'm not saying it's worth everybody watching, but it's a film. Speaking of sales, Olive Films is having a sale over at deep discount, and Olive Films is not a name we hear very often. So if you are looking to get something, this is, I believe, the only Olive Film sale of the year every single year. And I don't even remember the last film they put out. So if you were looking for stuff, they have some decent titles. I mean, the Norm Macdonald film, Bob
Dirty
Slade,
Work.
Dirty Work. I was going to say Men at Work. I was like, nope, that's Emilio Estevez. They also put out a couple of like the random horror remakes. They put out some sequels. It's one of those things where if you want everything in a series, Olive Films probably has one or two of them that you're going to be interested in. And for some of the films, they've done a really good work. Like they did that Dick Miller film, Bucket of Blood, and it's amazing. It is such a great release, and it will probably not get another release because it's a film that was overlooked by a lot of people.
It's a great movie. Yeah, I thought Olive Films was, well, I mean, I guess, is this through deep discount? So it is
through deep discount. Yeah.
Are they out of business? Do you know if they've shuttered or?
I mean, a lot of their stuff is still in print, so they're obviously getting a cut of some of this, but at the same time, they've not announced anything since at least before the pandemic, I think.
Wow.
Which that's a long time in 2022. So
yeah.
I don't know. It's not like they've announced anything publicly. So now, this was on Monday, and we start to get into the bulk of a lot of titles. So first off, from Warner Archive, we are getting 3 Judy Garland films in the month of June because it would be the 100-year anniversary of her birth. So we're getting For Me and My Gal, Ziegfeld Girl, and The Clock. And a couple of these are ones that people have been waiting on for a long time. You don't spend a lot of time talking about the classics over there. So what do you think about these? Are you into anything like this?
I absolutely love Judy, and I honestly I prefer black and white, but it's one of those things where like it doesn't get the clicks. You know what I mean?
Right.
so I not 100% sure I'll be picking these up, but it's it's something I would 100% watch if it was on TCM or something along those lines. So I'm glad they're celebrating Judy, and for those of you picking it up, I hope you enjoy it.
And keep in mind, there is no Warner Brothers store anymore like there used to be. There's not going to be any 4 for $44 sales like we had 2 or 3 times a year. We did have that 4 for $49 or whatever that was about a month ago, but That was the first time since last, I think, March. So these frequently, though, movies that are brand new releases for Warner Archive have been on sale on Amazon, and Amazon technically is the official storefront for Warner Archive. So keep an eye out there if you are interested.
And you can get good prices on that too, by the way.
I mean, some of them have been $8, which is way better than 4 for $44.
Yeah.
Kino announced the details of their film noir, The Dark Side of Cinema 8, which I believe at this point we know that they're going to do at least 12, and I think they said many more may be coming after that. So I think they just have noir licenses for days, basically.
Yeah.
And, this is coming July 19th with Street of Chance. Enter Arsene Lupin and Temptation. All three are getting new 2K masters, and all three are getting new commentaries. And I really wish other companies would be able to follow suit and put a commentary on everything. Kino gets a commentary for damn near every film they put out.
Right. See, this is interesting. I'd love to see the Lupin movie because I'm familiar with at least the anime character and the connection to all the real stuff. So I'd love to see that. But my problem with noir is, after a while, I kind of lose track of what I've seen because the plots are so similar, the names are so similar. So having 12 box sets,
right?
Geez, I don't know. That is a handful. I know you're collecting all these, right?
Not at this point. I certainly don't have all of these. No, I think I have one, maybe.
Okay. Is it the first one? Because apparently that's like the hardest one to find.
No, but also maybe you didn't hear, they're re-releasing that, coming out at the end of May or early June. So, and it's identical. So there's no reason to fret or spend $300 on eBay. Yeah, wow. It's going to be an identical release. They got all the licenses back.
Great.
I agree. Noir gets very samey, and unfortunately, because there was no internet, because word of mouth, and because a lot of cinema just wasn't getting out there for everybody, they could literally make this same film like 6 times with a different title and a different cast and change a couple small details and it was fine.
Yeah.
So a lot of noir is literally the exact same thing rehashed over and over.
Unfortunately.
Okay, so let's get into probably the biggest of this week. 88 films. We are getting on July 11th in the UK, Hitcher in the Dark, which was also released in the US previously. And I'm betting this is going to be the exact same master and all of that. I don't think they announced features on this. At least I did not see them. So I would imagine there's probably not a whole lot new coming on here. Hitcher in the Dark. Did you watch that one when it came out?
I did. I had the subscription at that point. I watched it, I reviewed it, and then I promptly sold it off. It wasn't for me. But it was one of those things where like I wanted it to be nastier than it was. I felt it was a little tame. I don't know. Did you get a chance to watch this one?
I agree. When you have the Lenzi name on it, you want something worse than this, and it didn't go there. I mean, to me, like, this cover art is more dangerous than most of the movie.
Yeah. Absolutely. It was more conversations, and I'm like, wait, this movie needs to get this. I'm sorry, I kept Umberto Lenzi. Is this the same guy? I mean, I don't know. I didn't really. It just didn't really smack of his quality,
And this is 1989, so maybe he just calmed down over time.
Maybe, I don't know, but this seems like the perfect movie to go, balls out, for lack of a better word.
Well, speaking of balls out and Umberto Lenzi, they're also doing Knife of Ice from 1972, which this was released in the Carol Baker box set from Severin. And I know you watched it for there, I believe, and did a review on that. So what do you think of this one?
I don't remember it. Those all blend together for me, man.
I agree. And that box set, I think it had one winner in the box set, and the others were, they were so-so. Carol Baker she's great. She's great at what she did. She definitely had a place in time. But a lot of these they're going to feel a lot of samey, especially when you watch them back to back.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, she's fine in it, but again, sometimes those movies are a little too long. The pace is off, and that's my problem with a lot of Italian stuff. Sometimes it's really the pacing that kills the energy, and that's unfortunate. But now, I mean, all this stuff now when stuff gets released in the UK, you have to wonder like, well, I'm region free, but maybe there's going to be a US release. I mean,
Right.
you might get to it, but I know the Eureka.
Yep.
Okay, we'll get to it. But yeah, so now it's like, well, now I'm not going to buy anything from the UK. Now I'm just going to wait and see what happens because everything will flip over eventually.
And on the bright side, it seems like a lot of these companies are working together more, meaning it's literally either the exact same disc or at least the exact same master and all of that for the film.
Right, like Severin and 88 Films, yeah.
And then Arrow and Synapse, and now 88 Films and MVD. They're working on Drive.
Yeah.
And all kinds of stuff. I missed some of these comments. Let's go back to this. John was talking about Unearthed and said Premutos. That's a newer film. That's I believe Olaf Ittenbach. It's supposed to be really good. Foo for Thought says a Serbian film is garbage. Very offensive if that's your thing. John says I've seen a Serbian film 8 times, and it's political like Sallow. Quiet Rob says my favorite physical media gurus. Happy belated birthday, MC.
Thank you.
And Dave says Serbian film is not an easy watch. That is an understatement. I forgot about this one. Flickering Wave says Roar is one of my favorite Olive films.
That's great.
It's a good one. And then Hilton wanted to bring up Indicator Noir sets. Those are, I would say those are definitely a step above the Kino ones.
Absolutely. I mean, all those Indicator sets are just gorgeous things, man. The Norman J. Warren box set. Oh, man. Amazing stuff. Yeah.
Again, Indicator might be the most consistent company for me.
I love it. Yeah, I love their stuff.
88 Films putting out on July 25th in the UK only Beware My Brethren from 1972. This is riffing on previous works like Psycho and Peeping Tom. This is also called The Fiend, so depending on how you saw this, you might recognize it under a different title. And I don't think I've seen Beware My Brethren.
This was a VS release.
Yeah.
But, I don't have it either, but it's one of those things where I keep asking, hey, has anyone seen this? And no one responds. So it's weird. It's like kind of disappeared from people's minds, I guess.
I was going to look it up. I don't think I've seen this one. And it could just be the title because it feels very generic.
Yeah. I think it's like very kind of like religious serial killer kind of thing.
Yeah.
It seemed interesting, but I don't know. It could also be completely boring.
Yeah, especially when you don't hear 50 people talking about this a month, it's probably one of the not great ones.
Yeah.
Next up, though, is one that a lot of people are into. Tiger Cage 1 to 3 coming in a very interesting box set. They are going to be announcing more extras and features and all that later on, but they wanted to share that these are remastered 2K transfers from the original negative, 2.0 English mono, Cantonese with English subs. They also have a whole bunch of commentaries, and Frank Jang is on, let me see if I remember right. He's on at least 2 of these, I think. Frank Jang was on the channel or on...
Frank's great.
Yeah, he is amazing. And
love that guy.
The dude does like 9 jobs. I don't understand how he does this, but he is suddenly getting a whole lot more. I love it. Hong Kong films are exploding for everybody, which means he's probably going to be very busy for quite some time.
Probably, yeah. And I love Donnie Yen. I'm not familiar with the Tiger Cage movies, but honestly, him in anything, he's just great to watch. I mean, it's got the bells and whistles, but whatever. I mean, it depending on the pricing, I most likely will just blind buy this one because I love him. I think he's magnetic, and I think it'd be a lot of fun.
And I believe this one's already up at Diabolic if people in the U.S. are wanting to pre-order this one.
Okay, great.
Next one is that Drive I just mentioned. MVD Rewind or MVD Entertainment, whichever one, they'd announced that they were going to be putting out Drive on 4K later this year. And then 88 Films somehow worked something out with them. And now 88 Films is putting out Drive in the U.S. rather than MVD. So they are putting this out as their first 4K title in the U.K. and the US, and this is one that was a previous MVD Rewind title, so this is coming not too recent after that other release, but it's not a novel title. This is one that's had plenty of releases.
I love this movie. I rediscovered it with the Blu-ray, and it is just awesome. I mean, it's so much fun. I'm not gonna grab the 4K. I don't think it needs it, and I mean, if you didn't get it, I 100% recommend this movie. I don't love the artwork, but it seems a little kiddish to me. I don't know,
yeah.
but the movie's super fun, so it definitely, if you haven't seen it, it's worth a watch.
Brittany Murphy is a big name in this that obviously did not get the career that she deserved because she was a talent that a lot of people just never really gave a great chance to. She had a handful of big breakout things like Clueless, obviously, but this is one that people should see.
Yeah, it's great. Good fights too, which is hard to pull off on, like, especially for an American movie. There's some really great fights in that.
Right. Next 4K from 88 Films, I believe this is only their second. Dragons Forever is coming in 4K, but this is also coming in the US, which is kind of important because none of their Jackie Chan titles were ever released in the US. So this is their first Jackie Chan title in the US coming out on 4K. And they do have Half a Loaf of Kung Fu, I believe, was coming out in the US as well. I'm not sure if that's before this one or after. This is already available to pre-order on Amazon, Diabolic, whole bunch of places. But we've talked about this recently. Are you a Jackie Chan guy?
I am actually. On my birthday night, I had a Jackie Chan double feature with some 88 Films titles.
Nice.
And I have the Blu-ray of Dragons Forever. I think the first half of the movie is not as good as the second half. But it's a fun little film. I don't think I'm gonna be grabbing the 4K of it, but I think it's definitely worth a pickup if you're a Jackie fan.
I'm curious if they are going to be able to get the licensing for these into the US because a lot of his films that are the pre-American films have just never had good US releases. So I'm curious about that one now that they're over in the US.
The one I really, really want to see, the first time I discovered Jackie was Rumble in the Bronx. I think that somebody's got to put that out. I love that movie.
I agree. That could be really good. That deserves a boutique release for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Killer's Moon is coming from 1978 from the 88 Films. Again, this is only in the UK. Obviously, this screams Clockwork Orange to me when I first see this, but I've never seen this film. Have you seen this one?
I was just gonna say I've never heard of this thing, but Clockwork Orange with the dude in the hat. I'm like, what the heck? I don't know what it is, but I'll wait for reviews.
So it says director Alan Birkinshaw brings us an endless night of terror in his bloody late 70s horror Killer's Moon. When a school outing of teenage girls arrives at their destination in the Lake District, they find themselves subjected to the murderous designs of 4 escaped mental patients who believe they are trapped in a dream. It sounds like it's either really good or really terrible. It says it's very much in the vein of Pete Walker and Norman J. Warren.
Okay. I love Norman J. Warren. I hate Pete Walker movies. I've seen everything I've seen of his. I did not like, but I pretty much liked everything from Norman J. Warren. So a mix is kind of strange to me.
Yeah, I honestly, saying that, I don't see how they would be very related.
No. Well, we'll see what happens. Killer's Moon.
So I was just curious before I go back to those. Is there anything that is horror related that just not necessarily like Killer's Moon, but something akin to that you're dying to see a good boutique release for?
Oh man, dang, that's a good question.
Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Yeah, geez. I can't think off the top of my head right now. Let me noodle on it, and I'm going to go. Oh, I've got it. I'll get back to you on that.
Cool. Next one coming up is Violence in a Women's Prison. This is one that we've got a couple other releases of previously. Wow. This is September 12th in the UK from 88 Films still. Another entry in the Italian run of popular Emmanuelle sex movies. This is, what is this? Does it say in here? I think it's number 6 in the Emmanuelle series. Maybe it's 7. Oh, there it is. Violence in a Women's Prison is the 7th entry in the Emmanuelle series and provides fans of the fascinating subgenre with another sensationalist feature.
I would say for anybody who's interested in the Emmanuelle films to hold off because Severin has been, threatening the Laura Gemser box set. Maybe we'll get it this year. So I would hold off because most likely this will be in there, especially because they partner with 88 Films. So. Yep. I don't know.
You're not the only one saying it.
Oh, yeah, just wait for Severin, exactly.
Yeah, there's going to be a really good release of this. Severin has been killing it in box sets for the last couple of years, and they have been hyping up the Emmanuel box set for. I think the first time they touched on it was like early 2020 or late 2019, and we keep saying it'll be this year, but supposedly it's really ramping up, and I would not be surprised to see it be maybe like a big Halloween release for them, or maybe a Black Friday sale title, something like that.
I mean, usually, Black Friday kind of sounds like it would click.
That's true. That's very true.
I actually thought of two movies for my boutique pick. Well, one is unfortunately one is already out. I mean, unfortunately, I guess. Communion. That's nice. A movie that, I mean, freaked the crap out of me as a kid. So that
like to review that one.
Yeah, I'm glad that was finally out. That's been on my list for a while. And then one that isn't out but deserves a huge, 4K. Oh my God, Red Son. Have you seen Red Son?
Years ago, not in quite some time.
What a cast! Charles Bronson, Toshiro Mifune, Alain Delon, Ursula Andress. Oh my God! And it's a great movie too. So I think, yeah, I would love to see that in a nice little 4K. I'll get the one with the book and the poster and all the stuff. I'll get the bells and whistles one on that one because I love that movie.
My big thing that for some reason I've been really hoping to see it soon. Obviously Scream Factory put out that box set of The Fly a couple of years ago, and it had all the movies in it, but there wasn't really a whole lot done for it. And I'm really hoping that sooner than later, especially because Cronenberg has a new film coming out, I'm really hoping that we get a 4K upgrade to that. But I really want new interviews, and Jeff Goldblum seems willing to work on it, and Cronenberg, I'm sure he'd do something for it. I want to see what everybody's doing, and, check back in with the team, get Gina Davis in there, see if we can find out anything. And it's had such an impact, and I love that fucking movie.
So good, yeah.
I almost just changed the page without sharing this again. Next one is All the Souls Except the Dead. This is part of their Italian collection. This is a film by Pupi Avati. Gotta love that name. From 1977. And this is the same guy that did The House with the Laughing Windows and Zeter, which a lot of people love Zeter. I could not really get into it.
I hated it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand the love for that one. But The House with the Laughing Windows, that's a hell of a lot better than Zeter, I think.
I have to see that.
Another one that needs a good release.
Okay.
And then they are putting out The 7% Solution. This is a Sherlock Holmes film from 1976 with Robert Duvall and Alan Arkin and Vanessa Redgrave and Laurence Olivier.
That's great.
I somehow have never seen this, and it seems like it was made for me.
Are you a big Sherlock Holmes person?
I was growing up. Less so now, but yeah, growing up, for some reason I was one of those nerdy kids that like my parents got me Encyclopedia Brown, which led to a fascination with the Hardy Boys and then Sherlock Holmes and diving into everything else. And then, of course, growing up on Scooby-Doo, you get everything about this and you just fall in love with the mystery.
Yeah, I love Sherlock Holmes. I actually wrote a Sherlock Holmes book, a children's book, which I was lucky enough to get published. And so while I was researching all that, I watched all these movies. This one, Sherlock Holmes' Smarter Brother, with Gene Wilder, like all this stuff. So I do enjoy this movie quite a bit, and but it's one of those things where, well, maybe this is coming from somebody else. Maybe Kino will put this out in the U.S.
This screams like a Kino title, yeah,
doesn't it? Yeah. So I'm gonna hold off on it, but I'm definitely interested in picking this up.
Yep, this is one I'm certainly gonna keep on my radar. I need it. Then we're getting On the Run from 88 Films. Wrongly accused of killing his own wife, struggling police officer Sheng Ming is forced to go into hiding. His only ally is the deadly female assassin, Miss Pai. Together they form an unlikely alliance as they each try to avoid death or arrest. And this is coming in they're calling it a deluxe collector's edition. And they shared this picture, so I'm not sure if it's getting a bigger thing or if this is going to be like just some loaded, stacked release. But
yeah, you would imagine they'd at least show off the slip or something, if it was going to be a collector's edition. But On the Run is really good. Oh yeah, okay.
And Asian movie enthusiast Eric really knows his shit, so I tend to trust that.
Indeed. Yeah, I haven't heard about this one. That sounds cool.
The one that everybody's heard of, that I think people are most excited about in this batch, is Righting Wrongs, also known as Above the Law. This one is with Ewan Biao and Cynthia Rothrock, which people have been dying to see more from. This is another deluxe collector's edition, released on September 26th in the UK. And for some reason, this is another one that feels like it could potentially get a US release.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen it, but it's been on my list forever. I'm very excited to watch this one. I love Yun Biao, and the fact that he's kind of front and center is nice. He doesn't play second fiddle to anybody. I'm excited for this. Yeah, I've heard really good things, but again, I'm really hyped up for it. So I'm really hoping it's not going to be disappointing. So fingers crossed.
Let's see with some of these comments here. I haven't checked in a few minutes. John says Emmanuel will be this year. He's pretty damn confident in that.
Okay.
Let's see. John is hoping for a Nightmare on Elm Street release. And Dave says Red Sun is a freaking classic.
Ooh.
And then Ken Carlson says 7% Solution was okay at best.
Okay.
And then let's see. The question he's asking, does Master Chaos have any guesses on the surprise Vinegar titles next month?
Well, I think I've just kept my ear to the ground what people are guessing. Somebody guessed Soul Man, and I think that sounds so crazy that it's probably true. I mean, you know, I forget what they said super well-known cast and whatever. But somebody said Soul Man. I'm like, man, you know what? That sounds so stupid that's probably what we're gonna get. I don't know. I kind of don't like guessing, but I also like the hints and when they drop artwork and stuff. What do you think? What are you leaning towards?
That one with the whole stacked cast and all that, I'm not sure at all. The other one that they were talking about, I think it was Sunny LA Creature feature or something like that. To me, it feels like we are probably going to get Scared to Death. The same guy that did Creature last Black Friday.
Yeah.
And that would make sense. A lot of times when they license these films, they get them in a package.
Yeah, I think even the director somewhere on social media said that they were working on remastering Scared to Death specifically, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!"
Well, yeah, that would make a whole lot of sense then.
Yeah, so that's most likely that's the other one. Yeah, Soul Man and Scared to Death. You heard it here first.
I'm curious about Soul Man if it is.
Oh,
so speaking of Vinegar Syndrome, one of their partner labels, Altered Innocence, is releasing My Best Part, and it's available now. But this is not getting a big fancy slipcover release. This is still through OCN and all that, but it is not getting a slipcover release, and it will not be on the Vincent site unless it's listed as a separate portion. It's not going to be like one of the announcements.
Oh, okay.
So you can get this on Amazon or on Diabolic, and I think little fly. I think this is the first time that they've done this in quite some time. I know that they've had some other titles that have come out on the side, but once they ramped up the partner label thing, I think this is the first one they did. But then, funny enough, they did it again immediately. And Strawberry Mansion from Music Box Films is coming out without a slipcover release. And this one, if you look this up on Letterboxd, has incredible reviews, which I saw the cover and I was like, wow, this looks cheap just based on the art, but it is getting like rave reviews.
Wow.
Which I don't always trust necessarily, but from the people that I follow that have seen it, it seems to be something that's genuinely worth watching.
That's interesting. I saw this pop up, and I think I looked it up on Amazon, and I think it's available for rent or something. So moderately curious about it, but I wouldn't blind buy it. That's just
the Altered Innocence title is available now. This one is May 31st.
Wow. Okay.
I forgot this was this week. Okay. So, Visual Vengeance Video is putting out LA AIDS Jabber. This is a sister label of Wild Eye, and they are brand new. This is their third title they've announced, and they still haven't even put out the first two titles, so take that with a grain of salt. We don't know the quality of what these are going to be. It's supposed to be pretty good, and some of these, like Brad from Vinegar Syndrome, he worked on while he was working with Wild Eye before he left them. And this is from 1994, which 1994 still what is the diplomatic way to say this? Still very deep in the AIDS epidemic and sensing a lot of the fallout from that from the 80s. Still big names dying every single day basically for a while back then. And the plot on this, a guy who has been diagnosed with AIDS decides to get his revenge on the world by attacking people with hypodermic needles filled with his blood.
I'm not surprised this is getting distribution now and not back then. Like, I mean, maybe it did. I don't know. I'd never heard of it before. So, yeah. I mean, is this? Do we know if this is this SOV or what?
I am not sure on that front. I I went to try to research like a better synopsis to put on this announcement because Visual Vengeance, all they did was post a picture and say coming soon. This synopsis is copied and pasted everywhere on the internet for this film.
Oh, wow.
And it is super interesting. Brad from Vinegar Syndrome has this rated as 4 stars on his Letterboxd.
Okay.
So take that with a grain of salt. It could be great. It could be a Brad film. We'll see. But then they announced their next title after this one. Yeah, okay, never mind. We'll get back to that one in a minute. So Steel Justice with Martin Kove, who is huge right now, obviously, because of Cobra Kai. This is coming out from Kino on July 12th. And the cool thing, they got a new commentary with Martin Kove and the director, Robert Boris.
That's great. This feels like a VSA title kind of thing to me. Again, that's something I'm jumping on the bandwagon in terms of like I gotta get this. I gotta rewatch this. But if I see it on Tubi or free on Amazon Prime, I'll definitely try before I buy. But Martin Kove is awesome. He's a very nice guy. I've met him once. Very, very nice guy. So yeah, if anybody's been waiting for this, here you go.
Kove is making the rounds, doing like a lot of conventions and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So this would actually probably be really fun to take and have him sign if you were ever going to pick something up.
Absolutely.
Severin has announced 2 of their mid-year sale titles. We are getting Faceless from Jess Franco in 4K and Blu-ray, and The Female Executioner on Blu-ray. First, I want to say, really like the slip. I think it looks really good without the words and everything on it. And really not surprised that it's Severin putting out the first 4K Jess Franco.
Yeah, me neither. I will say this. I love Brigitte. I think she's amazing. She's a beautiful woman. Fascination is one of my favorite movies. She's gorgeous. Love her stuff. Faceless is just okay. I actually just saw this recently because it was somebody hinted that this was coming out. So a friend of mine had it. I think he had a bootleg or something. So I just watched this recently. It's just okay. And I'm going to toss it out there because some people are curious. She's not naked in it. She's the only one who's not naked in the movie. So in case you're wondering, you're not going to see her in 4K. But the other one I'm not familiar with, The Female Executioner, that sounds pretty interesting. That one and her on the slip. I mean, from what I hear, there's a lot of jacuzzi action in that one, so that makes me happy.
There's potential.
Yes.
Faceless. Are you a Jess Franco person? I don't remember you talking a whole lot about Jess Franco on your channel.
No, I'm not a big Jess Franco guy, and I've seen everything from Shining Sex to the Franco Noir, which by the way, fantastic. I highly recommend Franco Noir from Severin. The 2 great movies. So I mean, he is a filmmaker. I mean, he's 100% a real filmmaker, but then he became a pervert. And then all his movies are very strange, which is fine. That's fine. If he can enjoy himself, that's what art is all about. But I would say Faceless is kind of his Hitcher in the Dark. It's very, I don't know if you've seen it have you seen this or not, but
I've not seen Faceless.
It's very tame. It's not very sexy, and it's not very violent. It's a good movie, but it's one that it's almost him revisiting the same material, like the Horrible Dr. Z, all that stuff. Like it's basically Eyes Without a Face, but in Paris in the early '80s or whatever it is.
Right.
It's a good movie, but I think people should temper expectations in terms of, oh shit, Jess Franco is gonna get crazy. No. It's definitely him a lot tamer.
And I tend to enjoy Franco most at his earliest. A lot of his decent, like genuine, not trope filled or by the books or anything, but the actual like horror films rather than fever dreams wrapped in a nightmare, basically.
Yeah.
And Faceless is 1987, so it is certainly not early Franco.
Yeah. No, and the good news is it's not also like Shining Sex Crazy, where you're like, what is wrong with this guy? What is happening here? It's basically vagina close-ups the whole movie. It's definitely him trying to make a standard movie, which is the good news, but also the bad news is it's very vanilla. I mean, which is unfortunate because you expect him to go nuts, and
right,
it doesn't really go there.
Right after you just said that, Severin just sold 12 copies of Shining Sex.
Yeah. You're welcome, Severin.
Code Red, as a partner for Kino, is putting out Terror Circus again. They had previously released this. This will literally just be the exact same disc. So if you've had this previously, there is no reason to get this again unless you're really dying to have that Kino slipcover, which friend of the channel, Brian Michael, the other day asked me, he said, how do you feel about the Kino slipcovers? I said, if you enjoy a Scream Factory slipcover plus 20%, that is a Kino Lorber slipcover. And Scream Factory is known for having just god-awful slipcovers that basically fall apart when you blow on them. So,
yeah, no, I'm not familiar with Terror Circus itself. But again, I feel like I've seen so many crazy circus movies that I think I'm good.
Yep. If you want any sort of scary circus film, completely go after Santa Sangre. If you.
Oh my god, that's my favorite goddamn movie from Severin. That they ever. Love that movie so much. Yes.
That release is beautiful.
Oh, great. Great. Yes, absolutely agree with that. Awesome.
I was so glad when they put that out on 4K.
Oh my god, yeah. I got my first experience with that was in theaters, and it was like when Severin, I guess, got the license, like when they were putting out the DVD back in the day, and that gutted me. Got that ending. Oh, yep. So good.
That is a wild film. I mean, yeah, Jodorowsky did some good stuff.
It's my favorite movie of his. Honestly, I don't think
he's
ever been as powerful as that movie.
Yeah, and then not to mention some of the visuals in that film. I don't even know how he got some of those colors, and that's why that 4K was perfect, because it really drew out some of that in ways that you'd never been able to see before.
Yes, agree.
This is the other Visual Vengeance. Did I say that right this time? Yeah, Visual Vengeance Video. What a weird name for a label. Sister label of Wild Eyes putting out Suburban Sasquatch. And I don't know if this is actually them or just trying to have really creative copy. They say, perhaps the most beloved and recognizable shot-on-video movie of the last 2 decades. When a giant bloodthirsty Bigfoot goes on a killing spree in a sprawling suburban park area, it's up to a couple of park rangers, a reporter, and a mystical Native American warrior, because of course, to try and stop Sasquatch's limb-ripping rampage. First time ever on Blu-ray and packed with bonus features.
On Blu-ray, I've seen this movie. I actually I watched it. I think Riff Tracks. It's awful. I mean, it's really, really bad. And on Blu-ray, this just feels like a trick. I mean, it's it's like no man, don't. Does it come with stickers too? Is that what it says there? Those little things?
I think so. I don't think that they've actually said. Stick your own VHS stickers.
Oh wow, okay. And does it come with a booklet?
Stick your own VHS stickers, collectible mini poster, reversible Blu-ray sleeve featuring the original release art, limited edition slipcover with art by Earl Kessler, who's done a lot of the Vinegar Syndrome slips, and then 2-sided insert, and that's it. So that's probably just the mini poster.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly it's a fun movie to watch with friends, but I don't know that anybody needs this in their collection necessarily. I mean, unless you're a super diehard Sasquatch fan, and I love Sasquatch. I've gone out looking for Bigfoot, but I would it's a one and done for me on this one.
So the riff tracks that you just brought up, it does have the full riff tracks version on there.
Nice.
New 2021 commentary by the director, commentary from Sam Panico of BNS about movies, and Bill Van Ryn of Drive-In Asylum, and then all kinds of behind-the-scenes stuff, featurettes, making of from the director's POV, but behind-the-scenes gallery, everything. This is a lot for an SOV film.
Wow. I mean, you gotta do me a favor, everybody in the chat, anybody who's watching this, in the replay, go look up Suburban Sasquatch. Just Google image him, and you'll see the weirdest nipples in cinema history. I mean, yeah, and that'll tell you all you need to know about this movie.
I think it's the next one. So I will say this, but wait, there's more. If you go to Grindhouse Video right now, you can get both Suburban Sasquatch and LA AIDS Jabber with a hypodermic pen. And this bundle is only limited to, I believe, was it 400 copies? Yeah, 400 copies. And they've already sold 100 of them.
Wow. Cool.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Here is a classic. Night Gallery Season 2 coming from Kino. And this release is bonkers. If you don't have the first release of or the release of the first season, they are the work that goes into this. Like literally every single episode has a new commentary on it. Every single episode. They all have brand new 2K masters. This is crazy. I mean, there is DVD Easter eggs on there from the old release, NBC TV promos from the 2008 DVD release, 19 TV spots newly mastered. Let's see, art gallery, the paintings, the Syndication Conundrum Part 2. Part 1 was on the first season.
Mm-hmm.
A look at the show's troubled second life and reruns, a featurette by film historian Craig Beam. And then the big thing, Revisiting the Gallery, a look back featuring actors Lindsay Wagner, Pat Boone, Joseph Campanella, Laurie Prange, James Metropole, directors John Badham, all kinds of other. I mean, it's a half hour long. They put so much love into this release, and I'm so glad because Night Gallery is freaking great.
I'm a big fan as well. I had the first season. I'll be picking this up for sure. I love it. I mean, I think I don't want to say it's superior to Twilight Zone, but there's some episodes that are just jaw droppers. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
I'm glad. This is one that more people need to watch, and this is the kind of release that I am glad that certain boutiques at least are still doing TV stuff, because this is one that absolutely needed it. And the fact that they're able to not only remaster everything, but then say, this was so beloved, we're going to put money into special features and deliver this amazing package is crazy. I never would have dreamed that this was coming like this.
No, this is fantastic. It's very, very good. And I'm glad it's a show that hasn't been, released over and over and over again. I think that's great. Like Sequest is coming out from Mill Creek. I'm excited for that as well.
Yep.
So yeah, very cool. You guys got to check out Night Gallery if you haven't.
It's a good time for that. Eureka is putting out Running Out of Time 1 and 2, and there are a lot of people happy about this one. This is from Johnny Toe, and as usual, this is coming freaking loaded. This is a part of the Masters of Cinema series for them, and this is the one we're going to talk about it in just a second, but may as well get it out of the way now. Arrow, I think his name's James Flower, announced on Twitter just to warn people, if you don't want to get a UK version, that Arrow is also going to be putting out a release of Running Out of Time 1 and 2 that is literally identical. So this is something that if you want it, you can probably hold out and get the Arrow release if you're in the US, unless you're a Eureka fanboy or something, or you want all the Masters of Cinema. But this is one that is beloved. And just like Asian Movie Enthusiast says, this is basically what everybody says. The first one is a classic. The second one, so stupid it's laughable.
I love Johnny Toe. I'm not familiar with the movies, but I'm going to grab the Arrow release for sure.
Yeah, and the fact that Eureka and Arrow are teaming up, just like we mentioned earlier in the show, that's kind of a big deal. That's two big companies working together to get the rights released in two different regions that, again, if we can share that and get more love out to different areas, everybody's gonna be happier.
Yep.
They also announced a Boris Karloff collection called Universal Terror, which features Night Key, The Climax, and The Black Castle. This is only going to be a UK release, as usual, from Eureka. This is going to have 1080p presentations of all 3 films, and they are. This is on Blu-ray for the first time in the UK, and I believe, presented from 2K scans of fine-grained film elements. For each of them, the climax is 2K scan of the inner positive, and then they're gonna have some extras on there, some still galleries. Kim Newman's doing some stuff. I love Kim Newman's work. Karloff, what do you think of Karloff?
I love him. I would pick this up, but I already have this. I think Scream Factory put this out.
Mm-hmm.
I know they have a ton of those Universal box sets. I'm pretty sure these are on there.
I believe so.
But I have their previous Karloff at Columbia, which is fantastic. 6 movies on there, and they were all really fun. So I would have grabbed this if I didn't have the Universal stuff already.
Yeah, and a lot of the Universal stuff has gotten a lot of love from Scream Factory. So if you're interested, I mean, what is there? I think there's 6 volumes.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Each one has, I believe, 4 films, and they finally have been showing up on sale the last couple times they've done stuff, which for a while that was not the case. So Night Key is on volume 4 from Scream Factory, and The Climax is also on volume 4, and Black Castle, I'm imagining. Oh no, that one's on volume 6, but yeah, they're all here.
Great. There you go. I would highly recommend those too if you guys are into Universal stuff. Great stuff.
Well, and Karloff is great, always.
Oh, yeah.
Kino is putting out a double feature of Salt and Pepper and One More Time, featuring Sammy Davis Jr. and Peter Lawford. This got announced just today. How do you feel about them?
I like him. I mean, Sammy Davis is certainly a fun actor. He's definitely just always playing himself.
Right.
I've never seen either of these, so one of those things I'd like to watch. I don't know that I need to own it, but they look fun. I mean, the posters certainly look very energetic. Well, I mean, I don't know how true that is to what the actual movie is, but I would definitely want to watch it.
Well, and like with Peter Lawford, they're hyping him up as Peter Lawford from Ocean's 11. That first Ocean's 11 film is kind of god awful. I hate the original. I think that it's one of the biggest ways. Like, if you ever go back and watch that film, I hate to break in. If you love this film, I'm sorry, Chaos, but that first one, like they wait to go to Vegas until like minute 57 of that movie.
Yeah, no,
which is crazy.
Pacing is off on that one. Yeah, I agree.
This is the Arrow thing that we were just talking about, and then promoting you, which, speaking of, there are links in the description below for Master Chaos's YouTube, his Patreon, his merch, and his IMDb credits. So if you have never dove into Master Chaos, by all means do it. He's also got books for sale on Amazon. He's got all kinds of stuff. His name is basically everywhere.
I'm everywhere. I try to be anyway.
Speaking of, I know that you did a full year where you released a video every single day on YouTube. I heard you're starting a second year soon. I'm just kidding. Don't rip my head off.
I thought of continuing it into the second year, but it was honestly so hard to, like, literally the point where, like, it was 2 a.m. and I couldn't think of a video.
Right.
Like, what do I do? And I'm like, okay, I'll tour OnlyFans and I'll look at funny OnlyFans accounts. So it was it was exhausting, but it was a good way to just commit to the YouTube thing. But it's a lot of work.
And a whole bunch of people have said this exact thing, that all of your Let's Watch lives are fun. I popped in for as many as I could, but again, so many videos, so little time.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I love doing those, but you know what sucks? I mean, I can't monetize because my channels have a thing with YouTube, but a lot of those videos get copyright claimed, or I had a lot of those taken down just because somebody had them, but then I can still find the source video on YouTube. So why is that video still up? I don't know. It's weird. But I do have a lot of fun with those, and hopefully I'll be able to do those again. But now that the movie's ramping up and I have to focus on that, I'm sort of shifting the channel into not so much reviews, but filmmaking, maybe tutorials behind the scenes and stuff like that. And I'll be doing not live vlogs, but definitely vlogs from the set and showing you all that process. I definitely want to bring my subscribers with me so they can be a part of that and feel like they were there from the beginning and as much as I can show, I'll share as much as I can with all that stuff.
Of course.
Because I find that fun. I mean, I think that's
absolutely.
There's a difference. I mean, for me, like I always say, the way I review a movie is different from somebody who's just coming and just watching it. I review it from somebody who's lived it on the ground. So, when a movie is bad, it's not so much that it sucks, but I can laugh at it. It's almost like I feel bad for the filmmakers and it's disappointed me. So it's this weird gray area where and then I also feel like the consumer has to know, like, is this worth your time and money? And I think that's important too, especially when things get. I mean, you got to agree, things are going to get more expensive as we go.
Of course.
I mean, prices are raising already. So by next year, who knows? Vinegar Syndrome. I mean, it's $27.99. It might be $29.99 next year.
Yep.
And so everybody has to become so selective, and that's the part of that's when collecting becomes dangerous. That's when you have and then you run out of space, and then it's like, now I've got this bunch of junk on my shelf that I'll never watch again. What do I do?
Absolutely.
So that's sort of what I focus on. Like, is this worth your time, and are you going to get joy from it? But of course, everybody is different, and I think that's what, as a filmmaker, we love that, because your audience is varied, and I expect bad reviews, and that's just part of the process. I don't watch reviews for my own movies, but I feel like it's fair game. I can be critical and someone can be critical for my movies. That's just how it works, man.
I agree. And one of the things that we say on this channel, and I don't know that you and I have ever had this conversation. I always say that every single film has been somebody's favorite film.
That's true. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's, I mean, I don't know if you could say that about stuff like Alien Private Eye, but
well, and for that movie specifically, it's sort of a vanity project, so I guarantee you it was probably the director's favorite film for quite some time.
Maybe. Yeah, probably. But I mean, if anything, I know a lot of filmmakers at the end of the day are like, there's always that regret, and
right.
so you never know, but that's the beauty of it. I mean, art is that subjective magic that we cannot, you can't really define it. And so all you can do is try to explain a point of view and see what happens.
Exactly. What's going on, Kubrick Lover? I haven't seen you in here in quite some time.
Hey, buddy.
Let's see. Asian movie enthusiast about running out of time says that was a classic. The sequel is stupid. I read that earlier. Keep in mind, if you want that, Arrow releasing it in the U.S. Quiet Rob says they should have announced Suburban Sasquatch on April 1st. Red Letter Media has a video review for that monstrosity.
Yeah, that's where I found it first, actually.
So after I go over the week's announcements, we normally talk about what's coming out next week. But funny enough, this is kind of an awful week for releases. There's not a whole lot coming out. We've got Pixar's Turning Red in 4K, which I thought was really great. Smoking Aces is getting a 4K release and a Steelbook. Everybody has been just absolutely chomping at the bit to get Francis the Talking Mule 7-pack from Kino on Blu-ray. Obviously kidding. We are getting, I think this is a Code Red release, if I remember right, Sacco and Vanzetti. And I kind of think that's it. Anything exciting to you that's getting a release here in the next couple months? Some stuff that's already been announced previously.
Oh man, I'm really excited for Cloak and Dagger. That's a favorite of mine. I'm not crazy about the artwork, but I'm sure it'll grow on me, But
and there's a full set of artwork that we haven't seen yet because of the VSU.
Yeah, I do like that movie. I think that's great. I'm excited to see what Severin drops for the halfway sale, but if it's a Bridget LaHaye super pack, of like if it's all her movies. I mean, that's I don't know. That's pretty tempting. I'm a big fan of hers. But yeah, right now I don't know. I've just honestly been buried in making a movie, so I haven't really been paying attention to the boutique stuff, which is kind of weird because the whole year and a half previous I've been into it, but now I'm like, wait, what's that? Oh, that's cool.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, if anything, I'm more nervous for like the newer stuff that's been announced, like Halloween Ends. There's news for that one that's pretty distressing, and I hope is not true. Apparently, everybody in the cast is saying that we're going to hate the ending. That doesn't bode well.
Right.
And then some stuff has been coming out for Scream 6 that I'm not very excited about, where they're saying they're going to subvert expectations, and I don't know what your feelings were on The Last Jedi, but that's what they said with that one too, and I'm not a fan of that one.
There's a lot of newer stuff that I think I've always said the requels and the reboots and all those things, they're fine because they don't take anything away from it. But when you keep driving that franchise into the ground after, maybe after it's lost a little bit of its luster, you should be able to tell, like, let's give it a break for a while. And if you're really all about reboots, there's lots of great stuff that has never been touched again that probably could do really well again. And again, with the remakes, like, and I think we had this discussion a couple weeks ago on one of these, but I really wish that remakes would actually focus on something that people didn't already know and love a lot. Let's rescue something that had a good idea, but maybe it was made in 1976 and the technology sucked, and it could be great if it was made nowadays.
Absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, studios are very scared about,
of course,
rescuing obscure stuff. So that's why we see all these familiar faces over and over and over again, which is unfortunate. But I'm a big believer that things have a lifespan. The problem with TV shows is, like, if they go too long, the last season of a TV show is never the best season. So I think finish it, walk away, start something new. I think that's always the best approach. But IP is important, and they want that intellectual property that everyone recognizes, and they can sell Halloween costumes, whatever. And it is what it is. It makes it hard for new ideas. It makes it hard for people with, I mean, just from my own experiences. Oh, we love that script. It's really great. Now we want to make a movie. We want to make a Twister movie. Like, what do you mean? This is an actual meeting. Well, we love your script. It's fantastic. So we're thinking of making a Twister movie. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh, this isn't a meeting about my script. They want to meet about something about Twister. So I'm thinking tornadoes. Right. They're like, no, the board game. We want to make something about, like, the colored hands and stuff. And I'm like, what? They want to make a movie about that? Now, this was a meeting I had 6 years ago. Obviously, they've never made the Twister movie, but I sat in the room and I tried to come up with an idea for a Twister movie. It's just, I mean, it's like crap. It's like, oh, we've got the, Parker Brothers or whatever it was, and we want to make movies out of this shit. I mean, after Battleship, I think they said, okay, we need to rethink this.
Right.
But it's like the movie says, it's hard out there for a pimp. And in a way, it's nice that Vinegar Syndrome and Severin and all those companies shine light on movies like Alien Private Eye, which, in my opinion, didn't necessarily need to be focused on. But
right.
You're right. Somebody probably loves that movie and will probably enjoy the hell out of it. And it's a piece of art to somebody. So I hope that continues, and I just hope that the price doesn't kick us out. Kick the collector out. We're like, well, I would normally blind buy this, but not for that price. I'm already hearing that from a lot of people. So
it's impossible not to. I mean, with everything else going up, your fun money's gone on other things. I was just talking today. I'm a giant person, but I drive a little Kia Soul to work today, and I had to fill it up, and it's got like a tiny little little gas tank, and I still ended up paying like almost $40. Like,
wow,
that shouldn't be the case.
No.
And I live in the middle of freaking farmland, basically, in Kansas City. So
Oh man, yeah, everything's going up, and we aren't getting richer. So there's gonna come a time where, like, sorry, no one's buying that this month because
Right.
we can't afford to take a risk on whatever the heck that is that you just put out.
Sardis says, I saw your review of Alien Private Eye. Looking forward to watching it now.
It's on YouTube. Go ahead. I would suggest, like I say on my channel, TBYB. Try before you buy. It's just smart. Nowadays, at least watch the first 10 minutes, and
Right.
if you like it, then grab it. But it's I don't know. I see so many people just, I gotta grab it, and it's like, just be careful with your money. After you're gonna just start regretting, and then the problem is you start making these choices, and you're gonna start hating collecting. So just be cautious. I think it's nowadays it's you owe it to your wallet.
Right. And I will say this, and I know that you know this, but I know some other people watching may not know this. One thing I will say with TBYB is when you're watching on Tubi, a lot of times those are really shitty VHS rips. And I put out a video this week talking about things that can affect your perception of your enjoyment of a film or what you get out of it. And for a lot of people, if it looks like crap, they'll lose interest immediately. So if you're going to do that, make sure you're paying attention and realizing, if I'm getting this from Severin and it's a 2K scan, it's going to look wildly better than this.
Right.
If you're getting an actual 4K disc of, the Terminal Island that came out from Vinegar Syndrome, and you try it somewhere else, that movie looks incredible in 4K, better than it ever has looked before, and honestly, better than it probably should look. But it is amazing the way that thing looks. So
yeah,
don't make yourself just think it looks awful, I'm never going to watch it, because a lot of these, they do have merit. And unfortunately, if you're only going to Tubi or an illegal YouTube stream or something like that,
right.
it's not going to be it's not going to be a 2K scan probably.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Watch it for plot. I mean, that's what I look for. Like, is the story good? Am I
Right.
enjoying this? Obviously, it'll look better on Blu-ray. But if you like the movie and you know what that means, if it just feels good and you're gonna rewatch it, number one, if you're gonna rewatch it, and if you want the commentary on it, then obviously physical media.
Well, the question on everybody's mind: what is Brother Chaos really like?
Well, that's funny. He is exactly how he is on the streams. That is exactly who he is. Although he holds back, he's actually pretty weird. He does have a weird sense of humor, but he kind of holds back sometimes. I think he's still a little shy, but he's very soft spoken, and he has very weird taste in movies, and somehow we're friends. Yeah.
He has been a blast to watch. Your whole family's been a blast to watch and get to know over the years.
Oh,
I
thanks,
appreciate every time they've been on. It's inspired me. A couple of my videos I've shown my kids, and people seem to really enjoy that type of thing. So
yeah.
Thanks for allowing the community to come into your family.
Oh, thanks, man. Well, I appreciate that, and I think it's important because you are building our community. You're subscribers, but to me, you guys are all pals, and
Right.
we all share a love of movies, and I think that's important. I've had a lot of great stuff recommended to me that I've gone on like, oh, this is amazing. I'm so glad somebody told me about this, and I think that's great. I think the fact that movies are thriving, no matter what, is it makes me happy. It makes me happy, and hopefully, I can continue to be a part of the film community and the YouTube community, and see who knows where it'll go, but I'm having fun so far.
And you can tell, and that's important. And a lot of times you can see after a while some of these people that have been doing this, they easily get burnt out, or they've been doing it so long that they literally run out of ideas or run out of steam, or they get out of collecting altogether. And it's obvious that you still enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the key is because most of my videos are pre-recorded, so when I edit, if I can make myself laugh, then that's sort of my that's my benchmark. If I'm having fun when I put the video out, I go, okay, this is gonna make some people laugh, and then that's entertaining to me. So I get enjoyment from that, and then I get enjoyment from having people sit through pictures of diarrhea. And I don't know. It makes me happy.
John asks, it's a great time to go to the movies. Have either of us gone to The Northman or Everything Everywhere All at Once? And he also needs to catch The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Have you seen any of those three?
Everything Everywhere is amazing. 100% recommend that movie. Everything that people are saying about it is 100% true. It's a great movie. It's a celebration of life. It's a celebration of cinema. It's a celebration of family. Great movie. I really, really loved it. And I did see The Unbearable Weight. I thought it was really good. I don't know how rewatchable it is.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's good. I mean, it's not as amazing, I think, as we were hoping it would be, but it was good.
I unfortunately have not been able to go to any of them. I've had a couple, just like you, people in the house sick and not really wanting to pass that along.
Yeah.
And today was kind of my first time like out of the house for a while because I had to go into my actual work building. But yeah, it's been a very busy time around here.
Yeah, no, when you get kids, man, it's your time is not your own anymore. It's
Nope.
very hard.
I don't get to set my own calendar, that's for sure.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, yeah, being a dad is amazing, but it is a lot of work.
It is, and I'm sure you've heard it as well, but when you have that first kid, it's a lot of work, and then they say having a second kid, it's not like adding a second kid. It's like adding 4 sometimes, because especially for the first few years of their birth, it is so much work with 2.
I mean, especially my son has a medical condition. He's got type 1 diabetes. So I'm up late taking care of him because we had to check his blood every 2 hours. And it's we've become nurses at this point. We wanted 3 kids, but like, nah, we're good. We're good with 2, man. It is a handful, but honestly, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
I agree. And yeah, I mean, both of my kids are special needs, and the amount of time and energy and therapy appointments that I've had to shuttle people off to, it's exhausting for sure, but I'm here and I'm happy.
You know, it feels like what we were meant to do, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel like this is, no matter what, however many movies I get to make or whatever, I think it's so important to have said I made people. You know, it's so weird. But the fact that, and then when we leave, they'll be here and they will be able to go on their own journey. And I think that is such a gift, and not many people get that gift. And so I think we're very lucky, and but that puts a lot of stress on our shoulders. But I think it's all worthy.
There is something I said one time. My wife was talking about the same sort of thing. It's amazing that we made these. And I said, basically, you did all the work. You're the one that made them, essentially. But I'm looking forward to shaping them.
Yeah,
and
there you go.
The last couple of years when they've, really gotten into talking and having personalities and like being sarcastic, just like me, it is so nice just to see things develop and watch minds explode all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you start seeing little bits of yourself in them, I mean, that's so great. The good and the bad. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, not for me.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. But speaking of that, I think we have to monitor what my 7-year-old watches on YouTube a little closer. We were at Cub Scouts tonight and leaving so we can get here on time. Walking to the parking lot really loudly, he goes, "Oh yeah," and I don't know why, but it's a big thing right now, I guess, with kids. And yeah, he got a lot of looks, that's for sure.
Wow.
Anyways, that's an odd note to go out on, but thank you for all your time tonight. I appreciate everybody watching. Tons of announcements this week. Plan accordingly. Buy what you want. Buy what you can if you want to. Otherwise, try what you want to get. And keep in mind, we got all kinds of stuff coming out every single week. I mean, there's 11 partner label announcements coming out on Sunday, Arrow announcements tomorrow, probably Scream Factory announcements on Monday. Never ends.
Yeah, my last live video will actually be Sunday. I'm gonna me and BC, and we're gonna be introducing TC, but I won't say what that stands for until he shows up. So we'll be introducing a third member of the family,
Interesting.
Yeah, and we'll be covering the partner labels, and that'll be my last live for a while until probably the halfway sale, because then I'll be deep into making the movie and figuring all that stuff out. But yeah, I'll be around.
Well, good luck with the movie, as I said. And again, his YouTube link is in the description below. His Patreon link is down there. A lot of these people that make content, and leaving myself out of it, support Master Chaos right now. A lot of the people that do this, they are doing it literally on their own time, out of their own wallets. And I guarantee you, unless they've got 25,000 plus subscribers, most people are losing money doing this. It is undoubtedly something that takes a lot out of everybody, and at the same time, if you enjoy the community, all you can do to help it grow is to support it.
Absolutely, and it's all welcome. I mean, leave a thumbs up on this video, by the way, guys. Support Ryan. He does great work. I mean, he keeps you informed. I mean, I didn't know about half of these things. So now I have to go back and go, gosh, what am I gonna pick up? What can I afford?
How am I gonna get all these Truffaut films?
Yeah, damn, that's number one. But dude, thanks for having me on. Let's do it again. Probably, I'll say in June. I think I'll be free. But we'll catch up and look at some more reviews, or not reviews, releases.
Announcements.
Yeah.
We'll be here. I appreciate all you guys. Have a good night, and we'll see you next Thursday.